It is clear that Project 2025's main goal is to destabilize federal and state governments, creating a power vacuum for Trump to fill as an authoritarian ruler. Welcome to Legally Speaking. My guest this week was former Ohio Senator Nina Turner. Senator Turner is one of the strongest voices for social justice in America at this time. Another hell-raising, fierce Black woman standing up for social justice and the law is New York Attorney General Letitia James. Since before Donald Trump took office, Attorney General James has been leading the challenge to protect our democracy from Trump's Project 2025 agenda. Often, your detractors are less concerned with what you have done than what you might do. This rings true for Trump's current attack on Attorney General James. Trump's animosity towards Attorney General James goes far beyond her successful prosecution of the bank and insurance fraud on which he built his real estate empire. In 2023, a judge ruled that Trump and his family enterprises deceived banks and insurance companies for years and ordered that their business licenses in New York for the Trump organizations be rescinded. While the appeals court threw out the large financial penalty awarded by the court, the factual finding of fraud was upheld on appeal. In a separate criminal case, Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying his business records to hide his payment of $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels to protect his 2016 presidential campaign ambitions. Trump escaped liability for his crimes by getting elected to a second term. So that's in the past, in his rearview mirror. Attorney James, in the present and the future, however, represents the greatest threat to Trump's Project 2025 agenda. In May of 2025, she led a coalition of 17 attorney generals in a lawsuit to stop Trump's executive orders suspending all federal approvals for wind energy projects. That same month, she led a national coalition to block the Department of Energy from imposing a new funding cap on state-run energy projects. In July, Attorney General James joined a coalition of states suing FEMA for shutting down the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program, a critical source of funding for infrastructure for the states to prepare for natural disasters. And the list goes on. Attorney General Letitia James has led the fight to stop the Trump administration from slashing vital medical and scientific research funding, suspending Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, benefits, restricting eligibility for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, the unlawful deployment of the National Guard, retroactively restricting federal funding for programs that support survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault and other violent crimes based on their immigration status, and many other outrageous and dangerous initiatives issued by this administration. For example, on February 7, 2025, the National Institutes of Health announced that funding for medical and scientific research was reduced by 15% across the board, effective the next business day. Well, on the next business day, February 10th, 2025, Attorney General James led a coalition of 21 attorney generals to challenge Trump's dangerous initiative that has imperiled research on cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, addiction, infectious diseases, and more. Letitia James' legal prowess and advocacy is a far greater threat to Trump's future agenda for our country than the civil judgment against the Trump organizations. Her office recognized the danger and began preparing the legal challenges to Project 2025 in 2024.
We prepared for this moment prior to the election. We all came together because I was there during Trump 1, Trump 1.0, and so many others. We analyzed Project 2025. We analyzed jurisdiction. We analyzed claims. We analyzed standing. We distributed all of the subject matter to each respective states. We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side, and the one institution that has stood by our side is the courts. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Since taking office in January, Donald Trump has signed at least 212 executive orders. It is the highest number of first-year executive orders since 1933, when Franklin Roosevelt was the president. For comparison, President Biden issued an average of 41 executive orders per year, while former President Obama's average was only 35 per year. Most of Trump's executive orders are based on the Project 2025 agenda. During the 2024 presidential campaign, Trump lied and denied any significant knowledge or allegiance to the Project 2025 agenda. But upon taking office, he has installed many of the architects of Project 2025 into positions of power and has followed virtually all of its recommendations. In issuing his executive orders, Trump closed the Department of Education, among many notable acts. Some of the most notable personnel hires from the Heritage Foundation, which wrote the Project 2025 manual, include border czar Tom Holman, Federal Commissioner Chair Brendan Carr, and Russell Vought. These three men have been particularly significant in carrying forth Trump's Project 2025 agenda. Vought is a key author of Project 2025. In his transition plan, or Project 2025's transition plan, Vought wrote approximately 350 executive orders, regulations, and other plans to implement Project 2025, many of which Trump has already adopted.
The plan was Project 2025. The 900-page far-right blueprint on how to go full authoritarian in a second Trump term, a document so full of unpopular, radioactive, and illegal ideas that Donald Trump pretended throughout the campaign he had nothing to do with it, even though we all knew he did. Today, the Trump administration succeeded in adding to a key post one of the top architects of Project 2025, someone who should be quite famous and will be, I think, as time goes on. His name is Russell Vought.
Trump's nickname for Vought is the Grim Reaper. Vought is not new to Trump. He served as the director of the Office of Management and Budget during Trump's first administration, and that's the position he holds now. Since February 2025, Vought has been what some call a shadow president, leading the destruction of the federal government. He worked hand in hand with Elon Musk, directing the budget cuts initiated by DOGE. While Vought has slashed funds for public health services and research, public broadcasting, foreign assistance, survivors of violent crimes, emergency services, law enforcement, and student loan forgiveness programs, he has designed and approved dramatic increases in funding for ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, the Office of Management and Budget, his agency, the DOJ, Department of Justice, and over $1 trillion of tax breaks for the wealthy. Outside of ICE and DHS, one analyst points out that the Trump administration has cut law enforcement funding by billions of dollars. It is clear that Project 2025's main goal is to destabilize federal and state governments, creating a power vacuum for Trump to fill as an authoritarian ruler. Trump and Vought drove the government to a shutdown and are enforcing painful layoffs and cuts across the government.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down so that the EPA can't do all of the rules against our energy industry because they have no bandwidth financially to do so. We want to put them in trauma.
Even when the shutdown ends, the damaging impact on the lives of people everywhere will remain. So what can we do? Well, knowledge is power. We must support independent reporting on Vought and demand that Congress pull him out of the shadows into the light. It is way past time for Congress to step in and stop the carnage. Until Congress stands up for our democracy, we must support courageous attorney generals like Letitia James, who appear to be the only ones consistently prepared and standing up to Russell Vought and Donald Trump.
Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side, and the one institution that has stood by our side is the courts. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.